Okay, I want to do a quick video based on the frame rates when you have a DJI Spark. Now that will film at 30 frames a second at 1080p. So here I've got my GoPro session, and normally with that I would film at 1080 by 25 frames a second or 50 frames a second. It's normally 25 frames a second. The problem you've got is when this is filming at 25 and that's at 30, when you come to go on your timeline and you want to render in your editing suite, you've got different frame rates and it can cause issues between one or the other. What I've been finding is that the DJI Spark drone footage tends to jump because it's trying to fit 29 frames onto a 25 frame per second timeline. So what can we do to get around it? Now there are some really good videos out there on YouTube, and what they can recommend is you can get some really good software and you can upscale or you can change the frame rate on the DJI. You can make it become 25 frames a second. You can also make it see more frames than are actually being produced, but it's always a little bit hit and miss. I've got a simple fix now, and it's basically down to this. When you film with a GoPro session, I mean, I'm in the United Kingdom, so I film in PAL. Now, that is your 25 frames per second scale. If you go to the American version, which is NTSC, so what we can do, go into the GoPro app. On my phone here, I've got the GoPro app. That is now currently linked to this session camera. If I go into here, if I press that settings tab there, we can come all the way down, scroll down, and you should find then whether you are on PAL or NTSC. There, video format. So on video format there, it does say NTSC. If I just go back to where I was originally on PAL, there we go. We're now on PAL. I'll scroll down, and it says on there frames per second 25, and you can have options. It can say 50 or 25 frames per second. That's great. If your cameras are all on 25 frames per second, your timeline's very good in the editing suite. If the Spark is filming at 30 and that's at 25, they're not quite happy together on the same timeline. So what I do, I scroll down to here, video format, press on there, I go to NTSC. Okay, it's clicked that back. Let's go up here now and have a look again. So we've now got an option. We're on 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I want 30 frames per second. Done. So what that now means is that this camera here and this camera here, when you're editing, they're both basically talking the same language. They're now filming at the same frame rate. They're both set to 1080p. I think actually it might be 29.97 frames per second, but for argument's sake, they are now pretty much synced up. So when you edit with this camera, you might be talking with that or doing your narration with this camera, and you might be using the drone for just general scenes in the background. And they both work together on that timeline. I've tried it and it actually works for me. It's a quick tip just for you guys out there who might notice certain things where you think, why is my footage jumping from that drone footage? And this is my second camera. It's the basic GoPro Hero. It's very simple. I do like it. Now, to go into the settings on this one, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the settings icon. And then we press settings. At the moment, this is set to 1080 by 30 wide. So how do we get to that setting? We're going to click through the menu. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we are. There it has NTSC. If I click on to there, I can select PAL. It says PAL there now. So enter PAL. Go back into the settings again. And it says 1080 by 25 wide. We don't want the 25 frames per second if we're going to be using the Spark. So let's go back into the menu again. Look for the PAL or NTSC. There we are. Press that. Select NTSC. done, just go back and confirm 1080 by 30 wide. So when you're filming with these things here, these are great pieces of kit. They do a really good job. Once you've got used to flying them, they can produce some excellent results. But you don't want jumpy or jerky playback. Hopefully that will help you resolve any issues pretty quickly. And one more tip I'd just like to share to get the best shots out of this drone so far from when I've been flying with it. When you go into the Go Fly menu, I can't show you because I'm indoors, however, click on this icon here. When you click on the tripod mode, it will slow down all of these controls here and also your gimbal control. Everything will slow down significantly and it'll give you them really good cinematic shots. There's loads of features on this drone. If you are getting into using a DJI Spark, my main advice would be tripod mode. They're both working on the same frame rate. I am new to flying drones. These are my experiences I want to share with you guys out there, and I hope that this helps you. And thank you for watching.